All right, if you own a Ford diesel truck, you know that sinking feeling, that sudden, unexpected warning light that can just totally ruin your day. Well, today, we're going to demystify one of the most common and frankly confusing check engine codes you might ever see.
So you're just driving along, right? Everything feels perfectly fine, and then, bam, that little amber light pops up on your dashboard. It's a moment of instant anxiety for any driver. Your mind just starts racing. Is this serious? Is this going to cost me a fortune? And what in the world is my truck even trying to tell me?
So you grab your code reader, you plug it in, and this is the culprit staring back at you, P249F. It's a super common diagnostic trouble code, or DTC, on a lot of Ford diesel vehicles, and it's exactly what we're going to break down in this explainer. So what is this code actually saying? You got to think of your truck's main computer, the powertrain control module, or PCM, as its brain. This code is a very specific message coming from that brain, so our first job is to translate it from computer speak into plain English. Okay, here's the official technical definition. Excessive time to enter closed-loop DPF regeneration control. Whoa, that's a mouthful, right? Let's break that down. Your truck has a diesel particulate filter, or DPF, that catches all the nasty soot from the exhaust. To clean itself out, it has to get incredibly hot in a process called regeneration. It basically just burns that soot into ash. This code means that whole process is taking way too long to get started. It's a timing issue. The self-cleaning cycle is falling behind schedule.
So, to put it really simply, think of your truck's exhaust like its lungs. It needs to breathe freely, right? The DPF is like a filter that keeps those lungs clean. Code P249F just means that filter's self-cleaning cycle is dragging its feet and it's starting to get clogged. The bottom line? This is a big deal for a critical emissions component, and you can't ignore it, because a small problem today can turn into a very, very expensive one tomorrow.
Okay, so we get what the problem is, but the real question is, why is it happening? It's almost never just one simple thing. The PCM triggers this code when it sees the symptom, that slow cleaning cycle, but there are a few possible root causes. So let's pop the hood, so to speak, and check out the 5 most likely culprits. So this checklist here breaks it all down for us. This is basically our roadmap. The problem could be something as simple as a bad sensor, like the EGT12, which measures exhaust temp to make sure it's hot enough to clean, or the DPF sensor that monitors pressure. But it could also point to something more complex, like an issue with your fuel injection, or even the diesel oxidation catalyst itself. This gives us a really clear list of what to investigate. Now for the good news. I know that list might seem a little intimidating, but every single one of those potential causes has a clear, actionable solution. So let's walk through the treatment plan and get that check engine light turned off for good. And before we jump into the specific fixes, I want to point this out. This isn't just some random advice from the internet. Ford itself has acknowledged this issue and even released Service Bulletin 12-5-12 to help everybody resolve it. So this is your official reference point, which should give you a lot of confidence going into the repair. Let's start with the most common and, honestly, the easiest fixes: bad sensors. Whether it's the exhaust gas temperature sensor or the DPF pressure sensor, the process is pretty much the same. You find it on the exhaust, you unplug it, you take out the old one, and you pop in the new one. It's often a simple, relatively cheap replacement that can solve the whole problem and save you from way costlier damage down the road. Now, if the diesel oxidation catalyst itself is damaged, the fix is a little more involved, but it's just as direct. This thing works kind of like a catalytic converter on a gas engine. The repair means finding it, unbolting the old unit, and installing the new one. You have to be precise here, though. An improper seal can cause exhaust leaks, and that'll just give you a whole new set of problems and codes to deal with. Our last 2 culprits, well, they require a special tool and a little finesse. If the problem is your fuel injection timing or a biased pressure sensor, meaning the sensor works but it's giving bad readings, you can't just replace a part. Instead, a mechanic uses a scan tool to recalibrate the system. They're basically reteaching the truck's computer the correct settings to get everything working in sync again. So, there you have it, a complete path to a fix. We've gone over simple sensor swaps, a more involved catalyst replacement, and even some software tweaks. By following this path, what started as a super confusing warning light becomes a totally manageable repair. You know, this quote from our source material just says it all, doesn't it? That check engine light doesn't have to be a source of stress. When you're armed with the right info, you or your mechanic can tackle code P249F head on and get you back on the road with total confidence. And that brings us to a final thought. A warning light is way more than just an annoyance. It's a direct message from your vehicle asking for attention. Understanding what these codes mean is really the first step toward being a proactive owner. So the real question is, are you ready to listen?